The narrative is that anyone can succeed. And if you look at the statistics, you can see that that is clearly not true. It literally keeps me up at night. The lack of transparency and honesty is astounding. I wish I could apologize to those people. Haha, I'm so nervous about this one. So the whole narrative around MLMs is that anyone can do them, is that they work for anyone. I wanted to talk about my experience in this season of Can Anyone Be a Girl Boss? Because I feel like they're very much targeted to people who want to be girl bosses, but don't necessarily have any experience. I spent 11 months in an MLM and I want to share with you my entire experience from start to finish, how I started, how I literally invested $10,000 to start with this company, the red flags that I started seeing when I was a part of it, and then what ultimately led me to realizing that this business model was not something I wanted to be promoting and was not something I wanted to be a part of. So my story joining this MLM. Let's start from the inception. This is ridiculous. Prior to joining this company, I had no idea what MLMs were. I had never heard of them. I'd never heard of pyramid schemes. I'd never heard of any of it. And so I knew I wanted to run a business online. Probably ever since I started traveling 5 years ago when I was like 20. I knew I wanted to run a business. I knew I wanted to work online. When I really made the commitment to joining, I was miserable. I was in probably the deepest depression that I've ever experienced in my life. I was looking for a big change. I'd followed people online in this particular company. Can I say the name of the company? Should I say the name of the company? Yeah, I will. Kangen, selling Kangen water machines. And I'd followed people on Instagram who did this Kangen water business for years prior to considering it as an option for me. And the people who did it, the people who I followed on social media, were living my dream. They were living in tropical locations, traveling, making loads of money, living on beaches, living their best life.
I'm living my best life. Now I got money for more bananas.
They were financially free, etc., etc., etc. And I knew I wanted all of those things. And so I followed all of these people on social media. I knew I wanted to work online. Like I knew, something in me just knew that working online in a social media capacity or just an internet digital based capacity was for me. But I didn't feel like I had any skills. Like I just come out of school, all I'd done was a bit of traveling. I didn't feel like I had any skills that I could teach people in a traditional like teaching sense. So I couldn't sell a course or services. And I was passionate about lots of things. I didn't feel like I could start my own business. And so I decided, okay, Kangen. Kangen is the answer. The answer to your prayers. I knew I wanted to work online. I was obsessed with all of these people on social media who are making loads of money traveling, and I was miserable. 3 very core points. And this is problem 1 with this type of business model, is that it preys on people in low level situations in their life. Okay, back to the story. I was like, right, something needs to change. Kangen is the answer. I am going to do Kangen water selling. However, like most 22, I think, year olds working in a call center, I did not have $10,000 to spend on a water machine. So I did what I was advised to do by the people around me who were telling me about this opportunity. I took out a bank loan. This is ridiculous. Okay, let's talk about getting a bank loan. Now, this was regret number 1. This isn't the biggest regret, but this is definitely a regret. I had 0 experience with loans, banking, credit cards, anything. I'd never had a credit card, never had a loan, never been in debt. I didn't go to uni, so I didn't even have student debt. Yes, I had the internet, and yes, I could have researched, but I was in such, I don't want to make excuses, but the narrative inside MLMs is you have to spend money to make money. This was the norm for this company. Everyone seemed to be doing this. Everyone seemed really hyped about taking out these huge loans. So I was like, cool, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take out a loan. The way I justified it to myself was when I looked at the business model, if I made 7 sales, if I'd sold 7 of these trifectas, which is a term within the company, I would make my money back. And I was like, 7? That's so easy. Duh, I'm easily going to be able to do that. What I didn't know was that's not necessarily the case. I guess this is problem number 2. There is very little transparency and openness about the broad spectrum of earnings throughout these companies. And yeah, like I said before, I could have looked it up. I should have looked it up. I'm not blaming anyone for this. If you look at the statistics for Kangen in general, in 2020, 66% of people made less than $1,000. Less than $1,000. And whilst this is a stat for this company specifically, this type of figure is pretty representative of all types of MLMs. In Monet, for example, in the US in 2020, the average annual earnings were $876 in 2020. And the average earning for a marketing partner, of which 92.6% of people were $161. 92% of people in 2020 made $161. And yet the entire narrative of MLMs, particularly the one I was in, is financial freedom. So anyway, back to the story. I joined and I was hyped. Right? Like, I was so excited. I just invested in this business and I was told the investment was the hard part. Once you invest in yourself, like, it's all up from there. So I was stoked to be joining this. And the community was amazing. The people I was around were amazing. And I loved that side of it. And I made my first sale inside of Kangen pretty quickly, probably within the first month. I was so excited. Like, this is the first time I made money online. I think I made like $1,000 from this sale or something. And I was like, wow, like, this works, okay? Then as things started to progress, I started to see some red flags. The worst thing about these red flags is all of them are things that I just jumped straight into and I didn't realize until after the fact. That's the problem with red flags, is they're so hard to witness in the moment when you are prey to them. Like toxic boyfriends, you don't see the red flags until after the fact. So I made one sale and that was great. And one of the toxic red flags, again, that I didn't see until after the fact, was the narrative of quitting your job and going all in. A really big part of the selling points of MLMs, or a lot of the marketing for MLMs, is quitting your 9 to 5. One of the quotes that gets thrown around very frequently is, if you have a plan B, you don't have a strong enough plan A. And that is kind of said in the context of, if you have a job, if you have this part-time job or full-time job in the background, you're not going to be fully committed and you're not going to see as much success as if you quit and went all in. And so in about 5 months of my experience with Kangen, I had made 2 sales and I was drunk. I was intoxicated with making this happen. And so I was like, okay, I have a plan B, I don't have a strong enough plan A, I need to go all in on this plan A, and I quit my full-time job. I was working at the time in a doggy daycare center and I quit. This is where the reality really started to kick in. So now I don't have a job and now I have the pressure of sustaining my life with this business. Honestly, the stress and the pressure of that became excruciating. I was traveling New Zealand at the time. Oh, this makes me cringe so much to think about. I literally hate saying this. I'm gonna I needed this to work. Like, I didn't have a job anymore. So I'm painting this picture of, I got to quit my job. I'm now traveling New Zealand, running this business. You can do this too. But in reality, behind the scenes, I was borrowing money from my sister to pay back this loan. My boyfriend at the time was paying for pretty much everything. And I was just desperately trying to make sales in any way I could. Which brings me to my next red flag toxic trait, which I was such a perpetrator of at the time, that ultimately made me want to leave this company, is the exaggeration, or honestly just plain lying about results and the capabilities of this business. And this is so embarrassing. I don't even want to show this. Literally, as soon as I quit my job, even though I did not quit my job because I was financially free, I didn't quit my job because I'd now made enough money that I could travel the world. I quit because I hoped that that would allow me to have those things. Immediately, I started posting on Instagram things about travel, working full-time for yourself and freedom. I posted this on July 15th of 2020. I had not made a sale in 2 months, and I'm basically talking about how I quit my job. And whilst what I'm saying is true, what I wasn't saying is I hadn't made money in 2 months. I had no idea how I was going to make money and how I was going to pay this loan back. It was so inauthentic, and this is why I'm cringing, and it paints such a warped picture of what's actually going on. And whilst basically just roasting and outing myself, and this is very embarrassing for me, this is the norm within this industry. It's not about selling the products, it's about selling the lifestyle. And that is an absolute no from me, because the lifestyle you're selling so often is warped and only a fraction of what's actually going on. When I realized how much is actually going on behind the scenes, this was a really big turning point for me, and asking myself, do I actually want to be a part of a company that is so based on selling a lifestyle that isn't necessarily even real? For example, within Kangen, something that was very prominent, and I'm pretty sure this has kind of changed now because I think the company stepped in, I'm not sure, but it was very, very common to share your earnings. And so before I bought into it, and even during, I was seeing all of these people sharing different earnings. And that made it seem like everyone was earning so much money from this company. So I felt shit about myself to start with, because I was like, everyone's making all of this money, why am I not? But when I actually looked into it, and when I actually started being like, okay, who's earning all of this money? How is all of these people earning this money and I'm not? What's actually going on is the same top people are sharing their statistics and sharing their earnings, sharing them with their downlines and their teams, and then their teams are distributing those results, painting the picture that those results are the norm, right? So when I joined the community that I was a part of within Kangen, like the subgroup, there were over 2,000 people within this community who had invested this money into Kangen. And I remember, maybe it was like an end of year, it was like a pivotal time. All of the people who were 6A, which was like the ranking that everyone wants to get to, were doing a call together. And at this time, there were 11 people out of over 2,000, maybe even closer to 3,000. And we had this group chat where there would often be questions like, hey, can everyone share their financial successes from this month? And the top people would share their financial wins, share their successes, and they were being real, like they were authentic sales and they were making a lot of money. But then people would screenshot those, take them, and then share them on their social media and share the possibilities of what everyone can earn. The people actually posting those things on social media to try and get people recruited weren't earning anywhere near that. And honestly, it felt disgusting. And the thing that keeps me up at night, my biggest regret of being in this company, before I go into the rest of the story and how I quit, is that 2 people bought machines underneath me. From my understanding, those people also didn't do very well. They didn't get to those like high levels. And the reason that keeps me up at night is because those 2 people invested 5 to 10K of their money into this business model because of me. Not just because of me, I was the anchor point for that. And honestly, I wish they hadn't, because looking back, I was promoting something that was so out of alignment, so out of integrity and out of my values, selling this lifestyle, selling this dream. And I hate that. Whilst being with this company definitely was the gateway into me being online and doing what I'm doing now, if I could go back and have those people not invest their money, I definitely would. Okay, I've had to change angle. I'm now crouching rather than sitting because I'm getting pins and needles. Probably the pivotal moment where I remember being like, okay, this is weird, something's not right here, maybe this is out of my values, is within this specific company, there was this thing that you had to buy every 4 months, and it wasn't required, like you didn't have to, but it basically allowed you to keep your commission. And whilst one of the big selling points for this company was that there's no deranking. And I remember telling people there's no deranking, there's no rush to make sales, whatever. But if you didn't make a sale every 6 months, your commission would be dropped by 50% for your next sale. And so you buy this thing every 4 months to make sure you're keeping your commission. But this thing every 4 months was like, I can't remember how much it was, maybe like $400, $500. So you invest $10,000 into these machines, and then every 4 months you have to pay $400 on top of that. It's just not a business model designed to allow the entry-level person to flourish. So back to the timeline, I quit my job for about 3 or 4 months. I'd made zero money, and by this point I knew that this was not for me. I didn't want to do this. And I actually went back to a part-time job in retail. So I could just chill out, de-stress, and contemplate what I actually wanted to do. After 11 months in total of being with this company, I made probably a total of about $1,500 in 11 months. And after that point, I knew it wasn't something I wanted to continue doing. But obviously, even at the beginning, I knew I wanted to work online. And so what I did is I took the skills that I had learned within this 11 months and I turned it into an online course. And that was the first course I made. And I've been running this company now for a year. I don't regret joining because it definitely was the gateway into me joining social media and knowing I wanted to be on social media. It also helped me out of a really difficult time and it gave me something to work on. It gave me a community, but there are definitely other ways that you can get community, purpose, and monetize social media than investing $10,000. I would say my biggest takeaway from this, and if you are maybe in an MLM, maybe you're in Kangen and you're thinking like, actually, is this something I want to do? And what kind of doesn't make sense to me and I wish someone had told me before is the reason I joined Kangen in the first place is because I wanted to have the time and the money and the freedom to build my own thing. I think a lot of people do this as well. They think, okay, let me join Kangen because it seems so easy to make money. I'll make all this money and then I'll start what I actually want to do. And what I wish someone had said to me before was, why don't you spend the time, the energy, the money that you're going to invest in Kangen and invest it into the thing that you know you want to build eventually anyway. I wish someone had told me that. I don't think they're scams. I know people do make money and this definitely isn't hate on this company, but they are painted as the easiest, most entry-level way to be a girl boss, to tie back to the season. And I just don't think they are. As you've seen by statistics, the majority of people don't make full-time incomes with them. There are so many opportunities and ways you can monetize yourself online now as a creator, an influencer, an affiliate marketer, a business, a course creator, all of these things. I have a whole other episode planned on other entry-level ways to monetize your online presence, so watch out for that. But I don't know a lot about the other companies, but this company is definitely not designed for everyone to succeed. Thank you for watching episode 2 of Can Anyone Be a Girl Boss? Subscribe for next week's episode. I've got a really good one planned and I'll see you then.